don't think this is going to let me do it here. Good evening, everybody. Important update here. The model guidance continued to zero in on the threat for strong to severe storms, especially Friday east of I-65. We're really going to have to watch this. What I'm seeing tonight, our graph model, the one we get from our vendor up in Maryland, Boston, it's been showing this uptick in the chance for these stronger storms Friday. And now the HRRR model's coming in, and it's showing the same thing, but it's also showing the banding features, which are concerning for very heavy rain. Now, tomorrow we're going to start off with some rain. It may not be as bad, but it will get worse as the day progresses. There will be breaks, but then there will be more rain. I don't want anybody that's got the PTSD to be too concerned right now. I'm just saying the increase and the change from the overall weather, where it's been dry for so long, to all of a sudden we're going to be seeing a lot of rain and a lot of thunderstorms and the potential for flash flooding out there. So I'm going to go through this, a few more of you on here. So the latest timelines behind me, that really doesn't change for tomorrow, but there's going to have to be a new timeline for Friday as well, because it's almost like this storm system is going to reload once the tropical air gets in place, because it will not be in place tomorrow morning for sure. So here's 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock, the area in orange. And what we're watching here is, keep in mind that main area low pressure is still west of us, and the circulation is in this fashion here. So in all of these areas, the storms are going to be banding and coming at you from the southeast tomorrow. So if we do get tornado warnings tomorrow, the storms are going to be tracking in from counties to your southeast. So for example, if you're in Lawrence County, you're going to want to keep your eyes open for any warnings that pop up for Morgan County, Winston County, and Coleman County, and the same thing over here in Jackson County. They're coming in from DeKalb County, so it's all different in that respect. As we get into Friday, everything's going to be coming from the south to the north, so a little bit different there. But 4 p.m. to 3 a.m., yeah, it's a long period of time here with these bands, these feeder bands. They'll just start beginning late tomorrow afternoon into the evening, and then overnight as well, Scottsboro up to Fayetteville and Winchester in Middle Tennessee. Now, what I'm going to show you here, it's confusing when you see it as a simple graphic on Facebook that I post. But what I'm showing you, this is going to be, you see this 20 here in Russellville and the KJ, that's joules per kilogram. What we're looking at here is the rain combined with the instability of the air. And I mentioned this, it's like thunderstorm fuel. It's the density of the air basically. And as we increase the instability, the air rises a lot easier. And when the air rises easier, the rotation of these thunderstorms can tap into the surface-based layer. So the higher the instability, the more likely we'll get what's called surface-based storms. And a few of you have asked, and you've seen posts about, we get these tropical circulations and they may not touch the ground, but when we get instability in place, they will touch the ground. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on this. So what you're going to see here is, of course, the rain here. That's pretty obvious. This is what we start the day with, rain. This is the HRRR model. I've been showing you more the graph model, and there is rain to the south of us. You can kind of see that behind me. So what's going to happen, it's going to be light rain. We won't be unstable tomorrow morning. We won't even see any thunderstorms. At least it doesn't look that way. And as we progress through the day, this initial band is going to track well off to the northeast, and the winds will start picking up. We'll start seeing these wind gusts more common around 25 to 30 miles an hour by 1:30 in the afternoon. At this time, the center of circulation is going to be probably due west of Columbus, Mississippi. This will continue to track to the north. Now, what you're going to see as we go through time here are these red areas, and you can kind of see it showing up down here near Tuscaloosa. This is 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That's the leading edge of this higher cape, this convective available potential energy. Notice we're all zeroed out here. We're stable, so we're not expecting severe weather more than likely through 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But see how this changes. This is the first real banding feature here around 5:30. And again, this is model data. It's not lock solid in what's going to happen. It gives you a general idea of what we're going to be facing looking through as this develops. So along this boundary, this is where you start to get a little bit of shear, the twisting wind in here, and also the higher wind energy coming through. Also notice these feeder bands, they're feeding off this area in red. That's that cape, that's that instability. That's the air you feel when you go to the beach. That's that tropical air, the air you can wear. We had that around quite a bit this summer. Notice how the whole atmosphere changes here by 11 o'clock. It's reloading most likely in the shoals for Friday. But farther east, we're starting to see more instability. And the instability line here at 11 o'clock is pretty much right in here. So you're going to continue to have these strong southeast winds feeding the thunderstorm bands, very heavy rain in Huntsville between 9, 10, 11 o'clock, maybe midnight, and continuing on to the east. So right now, this appearance in the model guidance wouldn't appear we'd have surface-based instability, but you can still get, we still may have tornado warnings and spin-ups and things like that. We're talking probably 80, 90 mile per hour kind of tornado winds when we talk low-end threat. And then as we continue on into the overnight hours, notice how this plume of deep instability continues lifting north. And then we start to see these white areas showing up. I haven't mentioned that, but that's called Helicity tracks. That's another algorithm that we use where we find where the storm can maximize the spin, and it's showing that near Fayetteville. Again, 4 o'clock in the morning Friday, on down towards Gunnersville, Boaz, the instability developing. And meanwhile, we have another feeder band potentially firing up. So when we go over and we look at this storm system after, like an after action review, we're going to find there's streaks in the radar data as far as where the Doppler radar estimates for rainfall totals are going to be, and that's because of these feeder bands. And that's why a simple graphic forecast guidance is really hard to depict how much rain you're actually going to get. And the range is going to be 2 to 4, but it could be, the Weather Service is actually mentioning it could be as high as 10 inches by the end of Friday. and that would be bad news in some areas to get 10 inches of rain. Even though we've been in a drought, it's still, and I'm not monitoring your questions yet. I'll get to those in just a second. As we continue on here to Friday morning, notice this feeder band right on the edge of that cape, but the higher cape, the higher instability really starting to grow from Birmingham to Boaz, Gunnersville, Huntsville, up to Fayetteville. So it's going to be along this kind of a moisture tongue, so to speak, that instability is growing, and we're just waiting for new storms to fire up. So here we go. As we go into Friday afternoon, we're probably going to be warming up. Really concerning to see these 2,000 joules per kilogram ahead of this. And we've also got more of these white areas showing up, so there's more helicity in there. And I'm going to get to the energy helicity index here in a little bit after all this, and we'll go through that as well. So if you're just joining us, we'll be talking more about what's going to happen tornado threat-wise coming up. But you get these 1,600 joules in Boaz, and you just get a big mass of thunderstorms here with rainfall rates probably around 3 inches per hour. These will be tracking pretty much north and a bit northwest. As we continue on, notice not a whole lot out here in the shoals. There's a dry slot that's going to kick in at some point in time. Now, depending on the exact track, this could shift a little bit farther west or farther east. We just don't know, to be honest. But there are helicity tracks within here, within this whole entire area. And again, the helicity tracks, they're very white, they're faint. They're not strong helicity tracks like we see in the spring, and they're not going to be strong velocity signatures. If you're amateur meteorologists out there used to looking at radar scope, they're going to be real subtle, they're going to be real quick, and then they'll be gone probably within 2 volume scans as we look at it. And there's one down here in Birmingham too. So as we continue on, notice how this area really enlarges over here. And you're going to see this when I go to the energy helicity index too. Again, this is model data. It's model data. It's not happening right. It's impossible to basically provide warnings based on what we're seeing in 2 days. So we're going to have another day to evaluate the model guidance. But it does tend to hit northeast Alabama a little bit harder from Huntsville down to Boaz, a fairly strong helicity track here near Douglas, also up here near Stevenson. So we're really going to have to watch this as this tropical system becomes what we call extratropical. It's more typical of what we usually see. Now I'm going to switch over to energy and the shear. So this is going to talk more about energy helicity index. So it's all zeroed out, just like the Cape was zeroed out. This is the morning hours tomorrow into the afternoon. So when you see zeros, there's not much to worry about. We still see zeros here, but there's still that spin-up possibility within these feeder bands coming in. But you notice the lighter green shade down here to the south. That is the energy helicity index starting to increase. We're getting some yellows in here as we get overnight into Friday morning. And the main reason we're seeing this is because initially we have what's called stratiform rain. That's just cloudy, stratus clouds coming in, nimbostratus, rain producing, and it's rain cooled. But after we get past that, you're going to feel the air change. It's going to be more humid and muggy, more what we're accustomed to when it comes to severe weather, and that's the buoyancy of the air. It's going to be rising faster. So Friday morning, we're still looking at these tropical downpours, but I think we're waiting to warm up to become more unstable. And notice this area here by 9:30, this area in yellow. That's where our energy helicity index reaches 1. And it sounds like a low number, but 1 is kind of the threshold for tornadoes. And when you get a 1, and what EHI, Energy Helicity Index, it combines the helicity with the CAPE. And it comes up with a calculation that says, you know, through research, at these numbers, this is when the tornado threats become possible. So what I expect from this would be an upgrade from Storm Prediction Center to a slight risk for areas along and east of I-65, and that would probably come out tonight or tomorrow. So as we continue on, notice thunderstorms developing. The Energy Helicity Index gets close to 2 over Marshall County and Boaz and Huntsville. So the biggest concern and potential for the severe thunderstorms and tornadoes would likely be over northeast Alabama. This is noon Friday. And as we continue on, we start to see the atmosphere saturating a bit, and the threat may start to go down, but we're still dealing with very heavy rain. Now, we haven't talked much about the shoals. So Friday, it's not a big shoals event the way it looks now, unless it starts that way in the morning, because everything's kind of transitioning to the east. And as we continue on, last frame here, by 11 o'clock Friday, we still have rain. So we're talking about the potential for some flash flooding out there. So I hope I've answered a few questions. I'll look over here. I think tomorrow we're going to get a few breaks. There's going to be a period, and some of the guidance suggests, I would say maybe late morning, early afternoon, there's going to be a break, and some of you are probably going to be going, what tropical storm? Oh, they missed it again, that kind of stuff. So there will be that lull. I do anticipate that. But then once it ramps up again after 4, 5, 6 in the afternoon, it's going to go downhill. But this behind me is what we're likely going to wake up to. Some scattered showers. You may have seen the clouds at sunset. It looked like the air was sinking. That was Virga, as the clouds, there was rain way up in the atmosphere that was evaporating before it hit the ground. Now, I get a lot of specific questions. It's not an exact science. I can't specifically say when. Tomorrow, best advice I have if you're traveling is to have our 48 First Alert weather app. It'll give you updates. And, you know, I'm supposed to pour concrete tomorrow, but I'm not going to make the decision not to until I get up in the morning and see what's going on. But I may be sending myself an email and said, I had plans to pour concrete, and you ruined my day, right? I know how those things go. And I know some of you may have already canceled plans based on the forecast. And all I can say, it's just a forecast. I'm giving you the information that I have. And sometimes these tropical storms, they're very tricky. And I made that post earlier today, just kind of explain. You can see rapid fire posts from meteorologists all across the country about what's going on, because weather's big. But just because you see the number of posts increase doesn't mean the threat's actually increasing, unless it specifically says that in the post. But it just means here's the latest update. Like a 4 o'clock update typically means that the Hurricane Center has just updated, so we're all going to send out. Or it just become a Category 2. We're going to post that. Or it just made landfall. So again, you're probably shuffling through a number of posts, and you're probably looking at someone else's forecast saying, oh, they're still going 2 to 3 inches, and you've got 2 to 5, and the Weather Service says maybe 10. That just kind of shows you the uncertainty that's out there. I can guarantee you, no matter whatever happens, we'll be tracking it as it moves through. And I just got a quick glance at some of your volume's pretty low. Okay, we've had some people talking about the volume being low as well. And if you just joined and you got questions, go back through the video here, and I'm sure you'll find your answer. Getting ready for our 10 o'clock newscast beginning here in about 11 minutes. I thank you very much. Appreciate your viewership, and thank you for tuning in, and just spread the word. Make sure you're prepared. And again, if you have not secured that lawn furniture, secured that umbrella outside, maybe there's something you completely forgot about. I mean, I actually put a cinder block on top of my recycling bin because I was afraid the lid was going to blow off. Because for some reason, we've had a lot more recycling this month than last month, and the lid's kind of, it's doing a, oh, what's his name? Not Grinch, it's Oscar. Oscar the Grouch. That's what my trash can's doing now, so I had to stick a cinder block on it. All right, I'll pass that to my engineers about the low audio, and hopefully we can get that fixed. You guys take care, appreciate it, and hope you tune in tonight on WFF 40 News at 10 o'clock. 1,700 people on my Facebook Live tonight. Yeah. Uncle Gray will be happy. What is this? Okay. What in the world's going on here? That's the Hurricane Center track. What in the world is going on with this model?
I thought it was a live look out at the scene of something. Like we had the Superdome in the earlier shows. Oh, okay, I'll then get to Brad quickly because I can't ad lib on jack shit about an actor. This is not a live look out at Frank. You have a live look, so that's what told. That's all we're talking about. Okay. Oh, geez, a crisper weather day. As we see. It's still a category 2, Brad?
No, the advisory comes out at 10. Let me see if it's come out yet.